Who's your favorite person on the board?
Snoop Dogg! I do kind of agree that Snoop Dogg is the most notable figure on the board. But it should be said this whole argument was started when I did a deep dive into this guy right here. And thought about him in a literal sense. Which was, there's a word in the black community, and that word is Gator. And Gator is one of those words that, like, I feel like it's the most long-standing or like visually striking word of this sort. Like how you've got some slang terms from the 50s from white people that kind of stuck, but also not really, and it's more like a thing old people would say rather than a thing that's actually like incorporated into our vernacular. While Gator is a word that is still used and technically means two different things now, even though those two things are on a clear. This isn't a sliding scale, it's a
pendulum.
Yeah, it's a pendulum, like parabola type shape, because it is going back and forth, as evidenced with the notable black figures I've made on this list so far. I guess if certain talking points show up, I'll take up my mighty pen and start amending it. It's not even, is it? Nope.
I think we'll survive.
Yeah. You're gonna fucking have to. It doesn't go away. The cookie just sits there. Alright, so starting here, we have this word Gator, where on this left side here it depicts a cool, jazzy guy created by sort of vaudevillain big band greats such as Cab Calloway and like Duke Armstrong. So with them, a Gator is a snappy, like jazzy guy who like plays in a band.
Like the guy in Princess and the Frog.
Yeah. It's sort of like Gator used here is a star at the height of its peak, and Gator used in Princess and the Frog, like 40s, like 50s New Orleans, is the decline of vaudeville, so he's sort of like a fallen star coming down.
So Cab Calloway's like 20s?
Yeah, actually. He's 20s.
Yes.
Because he's black and white, and
Vaudeville?
these guys down here are vaudeville, decline of vaudeville, and the decline of jazz.
Okay.
Where here it becomes rhythm and blues. So right here you have bottom of vaudeville, so every star is fallen, I guess. And this is where R&B sort of kicks in. But not,
I think, should you make a bullet point for that?
No, because there's no specific men I can name here. Like, because it's taking all the people used up in this point, and it's just dragging them down. It's bringing them after the height of their fame. So you could put Louis the Alligator on here, I guess, but he doesn't actually represent that, because it's more of the... That's like on this point. Like, the depiction of Louis as he is in Princess and the Frog, like this point exists here on the absolute level, but like on the three-dimensional level it's beneath it, so it doesn't actually trigger this spot right here.
Yeah.
So that would make sense here, and this is like just the line is passed through this point.
I love this line graph.
Yeah. It's a three-dimensional line graph, so it goes...
Yes.
This is the x-axis, and then up here is the unseen y-axis.
Yes.
Well, Y, Z. Okay. Now that we figured that out.
Didn't you say you were going to have to explain absolute zero?
Yep. Well, not absolute zero, absolute values.
Okay.
Because
I don't know math things.
here we have, let's not actually get there yet. Because, just for clarity, this is the midpoint. This is the ultimate midpoint.
Okay. Oh,
Between pimp, meaning cool jazzy guy, not pimp. Gator, meaning cool jazzy guy, and Gator meaning person that you can trust carries a gun. So we're in this area now, but because nothing happened to us in this area, this point doesn't exist yet.
Okay.
So this is a future point.
Okay.
But after that we have disco, like the rise of disco. and this is also like sort of the prelude before we see our first gun truly being introduced. But, well, actually, yeah. So guns are here. Guns are here at the start of disco. Disco was introduced by the rise of guns.
Wait, why is there a connection between disco and guns?
Oh, because this is, as we go further back, it's like changing the meaning of disco, like not disco, of Gator meaning cool musical jazzy guy, and Gator meaning person carrying a gun. So as we slide in this way, we're pulling back jazz. So jazz is actually the first thing to go. So that gets taken away and replaced with funky. Because now you've got a funky musical guy, and he has a gun. So funky, musical, gun. Those are the adjectives. So disco introduces like gun here, and then you have what I call the proto-pimp.
What disco guys was like known for having guns? Or like where was, could you elaborate more?
I've got this.
Could you elaborate more on the guns and disco type? What was that scene like? What did that like look like aesthetically?
Earth, Wind, and Fire, like that level
Fuck
of
yeah.
Earth, Wind, and Fire. And then immediately after that is Prince.
Got it.
Got it?
Yes.
Cool. So next up here we have what I call the proto-pimp, which comes at the death of Prince. And it goes into...
Oh, that's tragic.
Oh, Prince didn't die then. Did he?
Wait, who didn't?
I
The
don't know.
figurative death of Prince, not
Like
the literal.
death in the
Cultural sense.
cultural
Oh,
sense. So
okay.
the end of Prince, and then the
What-
introduction to characters that I simply call the slickbacks. No, wait, slickback comes later. I put Jimmy Bones here under slickback.
Jimmy
but actually,
Bones!
yeah, Jimmy Bones is actually proto-pimp. So that's sort of that. No, Jimmy Bones is a neo-pimp. Sorry, Jimmy Bones is a neo-pimp.
Well, yeah, he's on the same side. You know, he's on the same side of the.
They're still pimps.
If that's an access and Snoop Dogg is center, then he's one and the other one's -1. So they're the
Yeah,
same
yeah,
one on the
yeah,
opposite.
yeah.
Yes, I see.
Yeah. So Jimmy Bones would actually be. Yeah, he's.
Oh, I see how absolute value would apply to this now, not to jump ahead.
I don't know that.
You get it? Actually, let's move this around. Well,
Yeah, fuck it,
Yeah,
move
yeah,
around. We
yeah,
can always
yeah.
remove it.
who did I put here? Oh, proto-pimp. Neo-pimp.
Enjoy the sound of me eating this Oreo. No, do not. That is me. I go, mint Oreo. Mint Oreo. I like your gun drawing.
Thank you.
I'm gonna get more water while you're amending your board.
It's already been amended.
fucking damn it.
Nice timing, baby girl.
Alright, entertain us through intermission, Professor.
Where's my fucking soundboard? Let me see if I can find a.
Smoke weed every day.
Oh my god. Yeah, it's the soundboard.
Smoke weed every day.
That's why that's Snoop in the middle.
I love that, man.
Snoop Dogg has a children's show now.
It's so good.
It's so fucking good. Alright, so here we are at the proto-pimp, which is this is the very end of Prince, and I feel like after the end of Prince, like, before Prince, the cool jazzy guy had a gun, but he didn't fire it. After Prince, they started firing that gun. Because after Prince, like, went out of style, it's because people thought that Prince was, you know, the other.
This is Proto Neo? Or no,
Proto-pimp.
Proto Pimp. What does
Proto-pimp.
Proto mean?
Proto means the previous pimp.
What does
Like
Neo
old
mean?
pimp. And
Oh, okay.
now, because Snoop Dogg is just like mid-pimp.
Yeah.
Like, he's
Yeah.
mid-pimp. Like, he's still past tense for us, but he's not like the proto-pimp, which you can't. It's Hump
Yes.
Sonic Camel. And then you've got our modern pimp.
Can you go back to talking about why is Prince the other?
Because because he became the reason he became unpopular and went out of style in the first place is because, you know, homophobia.
Yeah.
And people thought that Prince's flamboyant look was no longer as, like, because it represented the bygone era, and it stopped being masculine to be like that, so it's no longer cool, jazzy guy. It's no more guy.
Ew,
He's no longer a
interesting.
cool guy. He's just he's a dude at this point.
Yeah.
Because guys, you like guys. You want them on your side. Now they're dudes, and you don't like dudes because dudes like that.
Gotcha.
Yuck. So, the cultural death of pimp leads to pimpin' not becoming easy, which leads us into proto-pimp, because then a proto-pimp still had the energy of this cool jazzy guy,
Yeah.
but it doesn't have the music, like, it doesn't have the actual, like, music in it as much, and now they're a bit, like, wary, so they have a gun.
But he does have a gun. Yeah.
But he does have a gun now, and if you make him, he will fire it. So that's proto-pimp that we're at right now. And then you've got Snoop Dogg, which represents the absolute midpoint of Gator being cool musical guy to Gator meaning gun, because he now is a cool, actually musical guy, but he has a gun and he fires it frequently.
Indeed.
So now the gun becomes not like presence, holding, shooting, and then now we're here at frequency of shooting, which is often. So he shoots often.
Wait, was Snoop Dogg like gang banging while he
represented-
was?
Musically, he represented the gangbanger, like.
Yeah,
thing,
because
like-
this is also tracking the. This is also kind of tracking the like popular black male
Like the
style.
use of the word gay.
Yes.
So the common use. And
Gotcha.
then after Snoop Dogg, like this is the end of like sort of where music ends as like the majority or like the halfway points of it being music. So after that, it is no longer the majority of the parts of the Gator being music related. So
Yes.
after that, you've got Neo Pimp, who is Jimmy Bones, because he is still fundamentally Snoop Dogg, but they've pulled back on the usage of music as being like essential to him as a guy or a dude. And then after that, you have Black Panthers, which were inherently musical, but they seem to want, like, they fire their guns frequently and they told you about it.
Yes.
So they were like, this is me, I have a gun, I will shoot that gun. I will shoot that gun frequently, and you know about it. So you have the Black Panthers, like, Fred. Oh no, I'm gonna get my black card taken away because I don't know Fred's last name.
He's gonna get you.
He's gonna fucking get me. I have to Google it.
They're on their way.
Fuck, come on. We gotta type faster. He was in the trial of the 7 or the something 7.
Oh, the trial of the Chicago 7?
Yes, the Chicago 7.
Yes.
Fuck. I could make an Ain't No Mo reference.
It's not even Fred, it's Huey! Fuck! It's Huey and Bobby! Huey Newton and Bobby Steele represented the Black Panthers. And
Yes.
they were like inherently musical, and you had guys like Marvin Gaye. So that's this area here. But then after that, you go into musical is like, now you're, I'm a guy with a gun, I'm a guy with a gun. It's like, I will shoot that gun, I'm a guy with a gun, and I will shoot that gun frequently. I'm a guy with a gun, and I will shoot the gun frequently, and you know about it. I'm a guy with a gun who shoots frequently, and talks about it.
And you'll know about it.
And you'll celebrate it. I don't know. And that's my whole thing, I guess. It's just the very last sliver of music these things hold, and you can tell it's the last sliver of music because it's the worst. Like all the music they've
What year is
created,
this?
late 2010s, early 2000s,
Ice Cube?
2020s. Nope.
Ice Cube
Takashi
Class
69. Yeah, Ice Cube.
Oh.
Ice Cube here. Ice Cube
Yes.
here.
I thought Ice Cube was after Black Panther. I don't
Because well, Ice Cube was inherently actually.
know. I don't know. Yeah.
I'm remembering Ice Cube did get a start in music, so yeah, he's with Snoop Dogg. He's with Snoop Dogg. He's actually, yeah. Let's put him. That's where he is. Right there.
It's an Ice Cube.
That's Ice
It's a little
Cube.
white. It's a little white block. It's an Ice Cube.
So like people like 6ix9ine or I don't know, DaBaby, they're here because all the music they've created has now been about shooting frequently. Like these guys, they were shooting but they didn't write the music about it. These guys are shooting and they're writing music about it. So now the music has been fully overtaken by guns, and then it goes one step further, and it's not even music anymore. It's just guys and guns. Which leads me to the final thing: is that Gator over here, or Gate, as it was called, was like a Gator was a guy that was jazzing and he was swinging. Over here, a Gator is a guy who has his gat, and a gat is a gun.
Yes.
And you can't have Gator without a gat, so now it means, Gator, he's got his gat.
Yes.
And then you sort of have it coming in the other way, because now that the focus is no longer music, like this is a musical guy who's doing all these things, it is now a guy with a gun who is coming back and doing these things. So it's sort of like it's being flipped.
Okay. Yes. So if this is a graph, would you draw another line here, and this would be, and then this would be the fourth quadrant?
Yes.
Would you say that, would you put this into quadrants? Would that make sense?
Yeah, so I feel like this first area here is, I guess, yeah, actually,
I don't know if that would help.
yeah, because nope. I'll figure it out. Yeah, actually, that would go there. So this is the.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Okay. This would actually make more sense as one of those. Thank you, Mimi.
Fuck
Because
yeah,
this
I
quadrant
love
right
graphs.
here, this quadrant right here is a. I want to get that beneath there. Oof. Yeah. Okay. So you have over here cool jazzy guy in A quadrant, I guess, and then over here, I guess would be. Yeah, musical inclinement is.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Musical inclinement is like this quadrant.
Yeah.
And then if you're on this side of the axis here, I guess that would be like how musically inclined you are.
Yeah.
So.
And then it swings towards, and then the next one is how close to guns you are. So the more negative ways, you're more music, and the more positive ways, you're more gun. And the more up you are, you're more. Maybe it does work better as a
Yeah, I'm
as
starting
a
to think
left,
it's better
as a right to left. Yeah,
Yeah, pendulum. I
definitely, because up and down doesn't make
introducing-
sense.
think introducing, I think.
But if you,
But I get what you mean with like
Yeah.
Little Navs and Billy Parker heading kind of back towards the other direction.
So like I feel like what's happening here is
Yeah.
that like you know how for a punch, like your elbow is back here, so this is as far as the elbow goes.
yes,
And then there's less and less space that's been taken over by your elbow before your arm is fully extended. and then it's all forearm, and then the forearm's coming back, and it's becoming more elbow, and it's becoming more elbow, and then you, something like that. It's sort of like throwing a slinky. Like the compression of throwing a slinky, like you got to start here. You got to start here, and it's all really condensed, and then you chuck it across, and then here it's like perfectly equidistant spaces between, and then here you got it expanding even more and filling up that space.
Yeah.
So it becomes like, I don't know, 2, 1, 1/2, like in levels, in terms of like how much space it's taking up.
I think is this kind of what you were talking about with your 1-to-1, 2-to-1 gun?
Yes, it's just.
Could you explain that again?
It's a ratio, so there's always like. Is there another color pen I could have?
Yeah, there's a red one.
I know there's a red one somewhere, but what is he? Oh, I found him.
Well done. Another accidental Mikayla foot shot.
God damn it! God fucking damn it!
That one guy who commented that weird shit's gonna like that. This is for him here.
He said he wasn't
can
gonna
see
keep watching unless we posted a Jurassic Park lecture, and then we didn't do it, so I think we lost him.
We lost him.
Fuck. What the fuck are we gonna do? Ooh, this will be a good case study for my failed sad YouTube men lecture. I hope I'm not fucking up your graph, Adonis.
If I can ask a question. It seems like it's not a timeline to where it used to mean cool guy and now means gun, but it's more of like a fluid continuum in which it goes back and forth, kind of depending on the moment. And right now it's more balanced towards gun, but occasionally the cool guy traces still linger and can be harkened back to.
Yeah, something like that.
Cool.
I feel like I was trying to think about this in terms of fashion earlier, and it was helping me visualize how it like swings back and forth because of how it like goes from like bright colors, more feminine gay, to like more masculine, like dark colors and traditionally masculine clothes, just in like popular fashion. Like disco to Black Panther. Or I feel like the 70s disco era fashion, and the next one was like Black Panther, and now it's like Lil Nas X, I feel like. I don't know. I don't know if that's helpful.
I think Lil Nas comes after Billy Porter because what's also happening here is the appearance of age. So as you come back in this direction, you have the people that represent this genre or group getting older and older. Like, I don't know, Cab Calloway, like vaudevillain types of dudes are at the peak maybe in their 60s here. And then here they're in their 40s, and then here they're in their 20s. And then it comes back, and then you got Billy Porter, who's like visibly in his 30s, and then you're gonna come back to 40s, 50s, 60s.
You know?
Yeah!
You know? No, okay, Snoop Dogg is here too, because he's old now.
Cause exactly! You get it?
We've unlocked
you see
it.
it?
We figured it out.
You see it?
And I feel like there's also something that like goofifies you with getting older and being like an old man who survived having a gun in his youth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
wow.
So what happens here is that you have, it's sort of like you have the mixing. So here the red is like represents the cool jazzy meaning. The red section represents like Gator, meaning cool jazzy guy, like that being the archetype. And the blue here represents the person that has a gun. And as you sort of dilute like what's happening here, like this entity here, you have it where these two are colliding but still somehow inherently separate. So like there's the smallest sliver of space before any like sort of I guess like actual mixing occurs. They are simply sharing a space at this point. and then here is like the collision. So like these ideals actually melding together and becoming one coherent group.
Oh.
And then you have an ultimate point right here, which is full cohesion, full. So it would be this again, but smaller. And then you could do this in ad infinitum until you find like the original source niche of every single period in human history.
Yes.
That's actually really clarifying. Thank you.
We're zoomed out right now.
Yes.
And then you've got like the immediate, like if this is complete one-to-one coherent like collision, then you have the very start of collision right here, which is, you know, you're slowly like there is less but somehow the exact same amount of music but gun in the same space. And then here you have where they're sharing the same space, it was separate.
Oh.
Like this is the immediate point right before collision. Switch these two.
Yeah, I was about to say, because Lil Nas has never fired again in his life.
Where's Juice WRLD?
Here. Cool. So then you have the point of like complete and total separation, and yet they are sharing the exact same space, which is Billy Porter, who has his life as a gay man growing up in that time period, needing a gun to protect himself. And then you have this separate but still somehow Billy Porter like energy that is the flamboyant gay man who wears a tuxedo dress with a skirt 20 miles long to the Met Gala. That is not a critique, that is a compliment. I love that fucking
Fuck yeah.
moans about it. And then you have here coming back where you have like Lil Nas getting his start in the sort of music from this era, which is like Old Town Road is a song like about a guy flexing his incredible wealth and such and spending it on a certain niche and like group that he wants, which is this, but like somehow the good version of it, I guess. So that's the sort of shape that's happening here.
It feels more lighthearted.
And then as he like spreads out his like wings musically, that's where it starts to come back. Like it's moving away from like this is just a rich lifestyle to have like I am actively happy with my life right now.
Yeah.
And then I guess like what would be happening here in turn then would be a sort of reversal of that. I'm trying to think of any like modern genres that would fit into that space that is post Lil Nas. Because Lil Nas is Lil Nas, like.
I don't know if culture has had too much time to synthesize and chunk anything out in reaction to him yet.
Yeah, like I think we're still in Lil Nas era. So nothing can be like
Definitely.
nothing can be post Lil Nas because Lil Nas isn't even ended yet.
Isn't it gonna be crazy when Lil Nas is like a figure we're old people talking about 20 years ago, like Prince?
So how much music do like gangbangers make?
All their music is about violence, but they are still making music.
Got it.
So that's like the separate lines there, where
Yes.
the
So it's like
Got it,
for
got it.
bangers, it's like yeah. So for bangers, it's like a lot of banger like music, like you know trap and all. It is sort of focused on music in sort of tandem, like literally like intrinsically like linked to like being a banger and such. Yeah. I have gunk on my hands. Nope, I'm just hallucinating. Cool. Yeah.
Got it. So I feel I don't actually know, but I feel like Snoop Dogg had some gang banging going on. And I feel like a lot of his music pertains to that. I'm honestly not sure how much.
His music pertains to that as like a... I think the thing about Snoop Dogg is that a lot of his music is gangbangery. Mm-hmm. But again, it's because this can be shrunken or expanded in ad infinitum.
Yeah.
That would be like shrinking it to the sort of difference, I guess, in the idea of gangbangery. So that would be another word, like gangbangery, meaning a gangbanger is a person that does a lot of drugs versus gangbanger is a person that kills people. Mm-hmm. That would be the smaller, like,
gotcha
thing. So that would be the word instead of Gator. But right now we're talking about Gator.
And
Okay.
Snoop Dogg embodies that synthesis in a way that, like...
Yes. Certainly.
Especially since now you have him in the modern sense in which he's come full circle again. Like, he's writing songs about these things in the past tense.
Yeah.
But in, like, a way that doesn't, like, feel intrinsically harmful. And, like, it kind of flipped the middling energies somehow.
Definitely. Hell yeah.
Has this been shocking university?
Yeah, because we have argued already that, like, because this is a point that we are still living in, we can't go any further, we can only, like, hypothesize.
Well, what else can we place around these things?
Or what do you hypothesize?
I hypothesize in the near future you'll have, like, a total middling point here somewhere, which is, like, I feel like the middling point we have here would be Snoop Dogg again, because... like I said earlier, that he talked about these things in the past tense going back. So it's like...
Snoop Dogg is Snoop Dogg reborn.
Yeah, so it's sort of like the mix here happening, the mix that's happening here that ultimately cannot be, like, taken apart at this point, is that this shit happened, and that this shit is happening, while this is happened, and then it becomes happening.
Yeah.
So... you'd have, like, Snoop still makes the same type of music, but the message has changed. But it is still ultimately the same hood, like rap music saying these things. There's just a different present, like, tense put on it. So then I guess we'd go back here and we'd have, like... there's a guy on Instagram that I see a lot, Wisdom.
Yeah.
Who is this? Like, he does looks and stuff from this, but he is ultimately not this anymore, which is sort of like how this was making, like, it was this, but it's really not this anymore, but we're still making it look like it is. So Wisdom on Instagram, he's like a clothes modeler, a model.
Yeah.
So all of his looks look like this.
Yeah.
But he is not even in that anymore. He's sharing a space with it, but those two things are not touching anymore.
Got it.
So I feel like he's like our first glance into that species of Gator. Because Gator still is coming back. Like, you still have gate, the word gate being used again, which I think that's pretty cool. Gator is a really fun word.
Yeah.
And I would also, like, as we mentioned here, is that somewhere around here, well, here for us, we sort of have the absolute value, like, this here is the same, essentially, guy, but because it's on this side, rather than this side, which is happening, it's on happen, it's the same guy, but it's like, you see him through a completely different lens. But it is ultimately the same dude. And then eventually we'll come back over here, and it'll be the same thing, like, wow, that's what we thought those guys looked like.
Yeah, I think your example of the model who is the, like, I mean, not to call a model gay just because he's a model, but, like, the more, like,
the word is
artsy
apparently metrosexual.
Yeah, or, like, artsy or aesthetically like cares
Like,
about like beautiful pretty.
LeBron efforts, the glide then.
Yeah, certainly like the fancy, like the bougie guys.
This
And
walk,
yes.
gate as in GAIT is also the third axis.
Yes.
So we have the word like Gator, and then we've got the axis here just coming out, which is gait as in walk. So, okay, so the stretch that's happening here is the intensity of that walk. But because we're on this level and we haven't come out yet, these are all on the same intensity of gait. But like if you were to go to the certain points, you know how if you're on a 2D thing, you can't look in this direction because it's only these two directions?
Yeah.
It's like that. We're on that 2D thing right now, but there is another loop going that way, which is intensity of gait, which I imagine that if we were to take this like pendulum here and it would make a circle.
Yeah.
So that's what we have right now.
Okay.
So coming out is intensity of gait, but because these are all on the same plane, it's the same intensity of the gait, just a different meaning to it. So you have like cab calloway, which is the glide, and it's a very strong energy of that glide. And then you've got people like 6ix9ine that have a gait, but it's a completely different gait as it goes back in this direction, like the banger walk, like that sort of walk. As that goes back to this side, it's becoming smoothened out again with the rise of TikTok and like the sort of like that quiet, pretty.
It's almost more feminine.
It's more feminine. Like this is apparently this is a yin.
Yeah.
Which is strange also because like this can't even be yin yang because yang here is a feminine energy and that's not what this is. This is westernized yin yang that attribute, masculine energies is one thing and feminine energies is another, even though it's different.
Yeah.
So, I guess masculine and feminine would just be the only words we have here. Like
Exactly.
strong, soft. So
that's
you've got the strong walk of like gun meeting gat. And then it goes over here and you have Instagram models that are kind of more focused on like being outwardly, like somewhere out with their whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
So they try to be like less, because here also right before this is early 2000s.
Yeah.
Which is sort of like they're putting it out, but it's not like easy yet. It hasn't become easy. So it's like a really strong, awkward, like bouncy sort of energy that kind of thrives off of how it impacts so hard against people. While this is like an energy that's sort of in place.
It's tighter.
It's tighter, and it's like, don't come near me.
The walk is tighter too.
The walk is tighter too, and then as it comes out, it kind of like loosens and loosens, and then you've got Instagram that's like always smooth or whatever. And then I imagine in the future with Turbo Instagram, it'll go
The metaverse.
Instagram.
Oh my god. Instagram Plus.
Honestly, yeah, the metaverse of how like a lot of the metaverse would be sort of focused on like making things presentable. You know how capitalism is. Also does kind of represent capitalism. Yuck.
Damn.
But yeah, so as it sort of comes back here, as the energy changes once more and it becomes that light gate. So then you could imagine like the ultimate swing of the pendulum, the absolute furthest it could go. And you would have something like this. Like, I know funk is making a comeback, so we might see that beforehand.
Wait, funk's making a comeback?
Raspberry Pi. Look up Raspberry Pi. Or you have like the outward energy being put towards this image, like presenting yourself on like wearing a suit is a lot less frowned upon.
Yeah.
Like if you wore a suit and you were trying to be like a stiff guy, like hey, I'm above you, but then you'd come over here and it's hey, I am you. I'm what you want to be.
Yeah.
I'm what you want to be. I am you. I'm what you want to be. I am you. There's a lot of axes coming out.
Love what?
There's a lot of axes coming out.
Mm.
Oh well. This isn't going fourth dimensional. Fuck you.
We gotta get the tape and construction paper out.
I think this has been shock of you.
Yay! Good job.
That was fucking epic.